So at the very beginning of letter 20, Screwtape mentions a lie that he, tells Wormwood to instruct his patient to believe. It's a lie that says that the only way to get rid of a demon, the only way to get rid of a temptation, is to give in to it. It's to yield to it. But see, that's not true. God is always, there. He's always there, willing to protect us and to grant us his grace. But he also asks us to, persevere, to, in a sense, grow before he comes to console us. And so when we are enduring a temptation, we should never, think that we must give in to get rid of it. We should never think that actually just giving in and getting rid of it is going to make it just go away. The more we actually give in to a temptation, the more the demons are going to use that temptation. The more we give in to what we ought not to do, the less we'll be able to actually choose what we should do. And so we should never despair in temptation, but rather allow ourselves to persevere through them so that the Lord can come to console us, and so that we can actually grow in the virtue that will be able to resist that temptation in the future. But that's just something that Screwtape mentions at the beginning. The rest of the letter is really on attraction. Screwtape is giving advice to, the type of woman that he would recommend for the patient of Wormwood. What sort of woman should he be attracted to? What sort of person should he be attracted to in order to, for the demons lead him ever further from God? When Screwtape mentions this, he talks about the lower archy. And I think this is just an ingenious thing that C.S. Lewis talks about. Of course, we have a hierarchy, the hierarchy of or the order of creation, the hierarchy of the angels. And it's about, higher. And then, of course, when he's speaking of the demons, that same concept of a hierarchy, he calls it a lower archy. But indeed, there is, such a hierarchy or lower archy of the demons. And Screwtape says that those who are lower than they are in charge of, the things that are bigger. And C.S. Lewis has a lot of reason to assume this, because indeed, among the angels, there is a hierarchy and an order to what it is that their mission is called to be. At the very low part of the hierarchy of the angels is, just the angels, like our guardian angels. But then as you go higher, they take on maybe responsibility for things that are just bigger than one person. You have the archangels who are responsible for the messages to the human race about, salvation. You think of, the principalities or the powers, those angels that are in charge not just of one human being, but indeed of entire societies, entire countries, entire aspects of history, or indeed the entirety of different parts of God's creation. Well, just as there is a hierarchy in the angels, there's also this lowerarchy of the demons. So just as there would be Wormwood and Screwtape trying to tempt different patients, there would also be other demons, lower demons, who are responsible for kind of the overarching direction of an entire community or an entire organization, an entire society, or an entire culture. And indeed, when we're speaking of attractiveness or things that people find to be fashionable, those sorts of trends are far bigger than just, one person. And indeed, there is a demon assigned to, confuse and muddle up, to persuade away from things that are actually good in an entire society, an entire culture. And that's what we find here, that when it comes to our attractiveness among the sexes, that sort of attraction is something that is being, well, misdirected by one of these lower angels. And that's exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to misdirect our attraction. Because we are naturally attracted to what is good. But not all that is good is, well, of the same importance. There are some goods that are more important than other goods. And what they want to do is misdirect us. They want to direct us away from, well, the really good goods and direct us instead to just the okay goods. So they take our mind away from the primary characteristics of another human being, of another person, of someone we might be attracted to, of someone we might fall in love with. The primary characteristics, the really good goods, like their spiritual virtues, their personality, their gifts, and their talents. They misdirect us away from those things that actually might lead to a good and healthy and holy marriage. And they instruct us to only to pay attention to, well, the secondary characteristics, the secondary goods. The goods like, well, how someone looks, or whether or not someone is wealthy, or whether or not someone has a particular status, or friend group, or classification. So rather than them allowing our attraction to actually lead us to what is beneficial for us, sexual attraction now becomes just a matter of, well, sexual taste. I like blondes. Or I like men with really chiseled bodies. We start to look at just a matter of, well, what we could call just someone's, preference that way, rather than actually evaluating and allowing ourselves to be attracted to not just what is our preference, but it was actually preferable, what is actually good. And they give some examples in this letter. An example of one such misdirection is that the demons have made it so that women might not, be attracted to a beard. That for many years, said Screwtape, they have made beards very disagreeable to women. And so rather than judging a man based off of whether or not he is good or holy or competent and deep and rich spiritually, they've made it so that women would just see a guy with a beard and think, nope, not for me, and just move on. Now, Screwtape kind of goes a little bit deeper into, well, what they've done for men, and of course the reason why is because Wormwood's patient is a man. But Screwtape admits that when it comes to a men's taste, the demons have done a lot more variance to lead us astray, to lead men astray. But that at the time of the writing of this letter, in the 1940s, the demons have kind of led men to be only attractive to what is youthful, to what is young. And the reason why they've done this is because that youthfulness of a young woman is something that is, well, transitory. It's something that is transitional. It's something that can't last. And because it can't last, it's like, someone chasing something that's always fading. People will only be attracted to that which, well, they can't have forever. It's something that they're attracted to, and yet it's something that will always be escaping them. And so rather than men being attractive to women for characteristics and traits that are enduring and lasting, they make men attractive to something that is ultimately fleeting, and something that, by and large, for the bulk of our lives, is in the rearview mirror. And that's, I think, true of our society, not just of men. I think it's also true of women, but you can even hear it in how we talk. We talk about the good old years, the golden age. We might even tell high school kids that, well, enjoy it while it lasts because this is the best years of your life. And I think a lot of college kids might leave college thinking to themselves that the best part of their life is behind them, which is unfortunate. We should always be looking forward to what is to come, because indeed, the best part of life is, well, still to come. And I'm not just saying that for me in my 30s, I'm saying that for everybody. Even if you're in your 80s, the best years of your life are yet to come. Because the best years of our life is, well, in eternity with God. The last thing that Screwtape mentions in this letter is he talks about these two different Venuses. And that might be kind of confusing. What C.S. Lewis means by a Venus is just kind of a feminine figure. Venus was, to the Greeks, kind of the embodiment of everything that was feminine. Just as Mars was the embodiment of everything that was masculine. And so for a man to be attracted to a Venus just means that a man is attracted to a certain feminine quality, right? And he says that there's two kind of polar opposites. There's the terrestrial Venus, and then there's the infernal Venus. And the one sort of Venus, the terrestrial one, is the one who is rooted or grounded. That's why she's terrestrial. She's rooted and grounded in what is, well, good, in what is the true nature of Venus, the true nature of being a woman, right? It's rooted in charity and obedience, and being attracted to that type of woman is certainly going to lead a man to have to live up to what is good and what is true and what is beautiful. So it's always going to lead a man who's attracted to a woman that way closer to God. It doesn't mean that a woman like that can't be a means of a temptation. Certainly can. And yet even still, part of the perplexity of that temptation is that which you are attracted to, that which you are tempted towards, is still leading you towards God. And that's why Screwtape says that terrestrial Venus is not the preferable Venus, is not the preferable type. Ultimately, there's that infernal Venus. And it's that sort of attraction that he tells Wormwood to go for. This isn't being attracted to a woman for all that she is good. It's being attracted to a woman for that which is, well, bad. It's kind of like being attracted, instead of to a good girl, to, well, a bad girl, a girl who always breaks the rules and who pushes and shuns society away. I don't want to say any cliches, but the type of woman that would jump on a motorcycle. No, I'm kidding. But no, it's being attracted to someone for all the wrong reasons rather than the right reasons. Because you see, if the demons can get us to be attracted to someone for all the wrong reasons, then our attraction to them actually doesn't have that hidden component where God is kind of always there, where us having to live up to that goodness is no longer there, because there's really very little goodness to be attracted to. And so it's just another example of how the demons will always try to get us to be attracted to as less of a good as possible, something that is further and further away from God. Because if they have to use for their temptations something that is actually close to God, even if we are tempted, God is still near. And yet, if they can get us to look away from God, to be something that is less and less good, then more and more we become, well, kind of victims to their temptations. Well, that's letter 20. And that was a rather long video. My bad.